and welcome everybody formally to the meeting. I'm sure there were more people arriving. A few things to say. We've slightly altered the programme because Rishi Jawaheer unfortunately was unwell. He will be joining us from his getting better bed a little later on. There's quite a lot going on in social care, as I'm sure you all know. Everything that we have slides for, presentations, etc. today will be on the website along with the recording of the meeting as quickly as possible. We have the new LCaS website in operation, which I hope people find easier to navigate. If they've got any comment, please let me know. You'll be well aware that there are changes to visiting requirements and also VCOD. I'm sure you're all sick of the sound of both of those things. We have posted a little bit of information about testing for visitors in residential homes. That could be a costly item. So as we get updates on that, we'll keep you posted. And we keep being asked to offer support to Ukraine. There's plenty of information going around about that, so please do. And it also, a couple of care providers have contacted me about importing people from Ukraine to work. So every cloud has a silver lining, I guess. For those of you in the SLAM area, we've got a couple of opportunities about training, one to facilitate Schwartz rounds and the other with Tree of Life. If you are interested, please contact me and I will send you the full details and talk you through the process. We'll also put that on WhatsApp as well. We've also been contacted about providers having to lower their prices by local authorities demanding lower prices. I'd be interested to hear about that. Obviously, it can be anonymous, no problem. But if you do have that information, please let me know. And also an odd one, London Transport are looking to alter some bus routes or delete some bus routes. Is this going to affect staff coming into work? Again, let Transport for London know or let us know and we'll pass those messages on because we know that public transport is vital to many people working in social care. Dudley.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, Peter. It's Wednesday. I'm not sure where you are in the country or from our last meeting, we had someone calling from Zimbabwe, so in the world, should we say. It's a bit gloomy out here, but as you know, health and social care still goes on as busy as it is. Peter mentioned a few things that people should be aware of regarding visitations into care homes and facilities, and also as well regarding VCOD and the fact that it's not, well, a condition to work in the sector. So I know with recruitment and retention, a lot of people are looking to recruit and retain staff. So please do look at the changes that are going on presently. Also as well, we know things are very busy for us. Looking forward to next month, we have CQC coming in on our first meeting. I believe, Peter, it's the 13th of April. And then our second meeting, we know there's such a raft of information and changes in regards to overseas workforce. And we know that it's literally just landed on the 15th. But we're going to have Fragamon who advised not just Skills for Care, but also the government. And I will be looking to speak with potentially or arrange something in the near future around actually interviews from credible sources from around the globe of 4 staff that may be coming to the country. So those who may have got their sponsorship license by that time, we are looking to potentially look at having something to that effect. But we'd like to hear from you as providers and your experiences presently of what's going on. But today, thank you for joining us. It's about digitalization, as we know. This virtual meeting has kept us going during the pandemic. And we know there are so many benefits for having access to digital formats, not just for your staff, but also for the people that we care for on a day-to-day basis, and in communication between different organizations, and for us as well at LCaS. So please do take this seriously. We have some great speakers on board, and we also will say the magic word, which people always, when they think about IT, how we're going to get it funded. So there is potential funding that is available, and knowledge from the likes of Skills for Care, and we have the likes of Paul Harper here. And we're joined as well by one of the suppliers of care software, should we say, who tell you all about how it works. And they're on the NHSx suppliers list, which is a list that's been put together specifically for you as providers to look at. So thank you very much. And I can't forget, we round off with some lovely, keeping well and how to keep ourselves well, because we know we're ever so busy. Thinking about one another and how we manage is also really key. And that's my intro for everyone. And I hope you have a good session, everyone. Thank you. You're next, Peter.
Okay. Shall we fire off with keeping well and get that?
Hi everyone.
Hi there.
Hello there. I just have a very short presentation to share, if that's okay.
Yep, just let me make you co-host and then you should be able to.
Great, thanks, Peter.
And then if we can have the presentation, we'll circulate that as well afterwards.
Yeah, perfect. No
Thank
bother.
you.
Thank you. So just like to introduce myself to everyone. So my name's Ciara and I'm a cognitive behavioural therapist at Keeping Well, Northwest London. And essentially we're a staff wellbeing hub. So we support all NHS and health and social care staff working across the Northwest London region. So I've just got a very short presentation that I'm going to share with you all today. So just bear with me while I bring that up on the screen. Okay, can everyone see that okay? Yeah, great. So as I mentioned, we work in the Northwest London region, so we cover 8 different boroughs. And within our team, we're quite a small team. So I think at the moment there's about 10 of us. And so we have 2 CBT therapists, we have a counsellor, we have counselling psychologists, assistant psychologists. Up until recently, we did have a drug and alcohol practitioner. And I believe as well that we're currently recruiting for another band 8, band 7 as well too in our post, and also have a mindfulness practitioner and a communication outreach worker too. So we originally formed in June 2020 as an IAPT integrated service, but actually we've been operating as an individual multidisciplinary team since March 2021, around the time when a lot of the staff wellbeing hubs were kind of becoming kind of independent across the country as such. So while we cover the Northwest London patch, there are other staff wellbeing hubs across the rest of London. So I think there's 5 ones in total, and at the end of this presentation I have put down details for their link for those particular hubs as well. So with regards to our service, it's open to any staff members who are either living or working in Northwest London, and we provide psychological assessment. People can come to us if they feel that they'd like support around or advice actually just around kind of their mental well-being, and we can also sometimes make referrals onwards to other services, including IAPT primary mental care services, and we can also liaise with GPs and other health professionals with the staff members' consent as well. So we've just on this slide here put down a list of different things that we do and kind of the aims of our service. So as I was kind of mentioning, we, with how kind of people refer to our service, they can either give us a call, we have the phone number on the website, or they can do an online referral. And we've also got a live chat option as well that's operating every day from 9 to 5. So people, so often with the staff members who come through, they're not always necessarily looking for psychological therapy. They might just have some questions around, for instance, how can I manage stress a little bit better? Or do you have any advice on how I might go about getting psychodynamic therapy or something like that? But they're not necessarily always looking for psychological therapy in that moment. So this is where, as a staff support service, we can be we can be quite helpful in kind of giving them that advice and tips, and we can arrange to do callbacks with staff members who come through as well. So as I mentioned, we can, with any staff members who come through and do want kind of primary care support, we can actually prioritise all health and social care staff members for psychological support within the IOP services if they come through our hub. So they will be assessed and seen quicker if they come through the Keeping Well hubs. We do run, we have a mindfulness practitioner, and he does as well do kind of drop-in mindfulness sessions for all staff members. I think he works around kind of 3 to 4 days a week, but at different times throughout the day. And we're also doing a lot of long COVID support at the moment. We've got 3 main groups available. We've got a long COVID CBT recovery group that I'm co-facilitating at the moment. It's an 8-week course. So again, if you know of any health and social care staff members who are kind of struggling with long COVID and living or working in the Northwest London patch, they can make a referral to our service for that support. At the moment, I am recruiting for another group due to start in April or May. No dates finalised at the moment, but again, if you know of anyone who might be interested in that, please do let them know. They can just make a referral and I can give them a call. We do as well have a long COVID peer support group as well, which runs once a month for all staff members. And we also have just started a mindfulness group, which runs once a month for staff members as well. We have a lot of self-help resources on our website too, because when we're kind of thinking about staff well-being, we would kind of come from the angle that it's that the individual, yes, can put strategies in place to kind of support their well-being, but also we have kind of noticed from talking to some staff members that there are some difficulties and pressures within their workplace that may be kind of contributing to or kind of worsening their mental health. So we have put some resources up for teams and for managers as well. So if you go onto our website on the main page, there is a tab called the Keeping Well Academy. And within that particular section, we've got some tips and advice for teams and for managers as well. And all of everything, you'll notice that if you're on the Keeping Well Academy, everything that we've kind of recommended is all based on research as well. So as I kind of mentioned earlier, if you would like to make a referral to our team, there's lots of different ways of doing it. So it might be a little bit small to see on the screen, but we do have a live chat option. So that's manned Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And we all take turns doing different shifts for the live chat. So there is always someone available to talk to between those hours. You can also call us on that number as well, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, the 0300 123 1705 number. You can make a referral online. There is also an option to request a callback because I would say for majority of referrals, we would do callbacks, but some of the referrals are quite straightforward. So it's not always the case, but if you feel you'd like to talk to someone or you're a little bit unsure about what kind of support option would be best, you can request a callback and someone will get in touch with you. And then the other tab here is the one I was mentioning earlier as well. We've got the Keeping Well Academy tab, which is kind of providing kind of well-being tips for teams and for managers as well. Yeah, and this is what the Keeping Well Academy looks like if you click into it. We've got a few different sections here on leadership and management, building a positive well-being environment, using workforce intelligence data, team communication reflection, and then accessing support for your well-being. So if you click into any of these, you'll get more information underneath each of those categories. So we do need to update these figures a little bit, but we've had more than, as you can see, more than 2,000 staff members make referrals to us between the months of June 2020 to November 21. The referrals have indefinitely increased since November 2021, I can say with confidence. We're getting a lot more referrals come through, and particularly you mentioned actually, Peter, earlier about the VCOD requirement that had been up until recently had been in place. We had a lot of staff members come forwards to us for that, as we had many staff members who are kind of mentioning to us that they had some anxiety around that, and also some staff members too who were reporting having some needle phobia. So we were actually giving support for needle phobia at work at that time as well. What we have found from kind of early data is that for the staff members who were referred on to IAPT through us, that more than 62% of them reached recovery, which actually was showing that you know, kind of recovery rates for staff groups were a lot higher compared to kind of the average population, which is usually around 50%. So that's really, really great. And what we have found as well is when staff members do refer to our service, we do make a list of kind of what we do, kind of know what organization they work for or trust, and we do also know as well what their role is, to get a bit of an idea of which staff members are most likely to come through. So the ones that we have found to be, or the groups we found to be kind of most likely to seek support are nurses, administrators, doctors, managers or team leads, and also healthcare assistants as well. And from the work as well, when we've looked at the data and seen what are the main difficulties that group are presenting with, we've seen kind of anxiety, work-related stress, depression or low mood, COVID-related issues, and relationship problems as well. So as part of the kind of NHS England Wellbeing Hubs initiative, we have been funded into the next financial year. And as I kind of mentioned earlier, we cover the Northwest London patch, but there are other London services as well. So if you are a staff member who, for instance, is either living or working in Northeast London, you know, you can go to the Northeast London branch. We've also got North Central London, which will cover, for instance, like Camden, Islington, Southeast London covering Greenwich, Lewisham, etc., and then Southwest London covering kind of Merton, Richmond, etc. So just depending where you live and where you work, you would be able to access any of these services within London. And of course, these services don't just operate in London, they're all over England. So there should be a wellbeing hub for each individual region as well. And that is the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions with regards to what I kind of was talking about just in the last few minutes? I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Very quickly, the question I think that most people would ask is, obviously, apart from you putting the link to the portal, the site on there would be great. I guess how it would work in time frames, because I think everyone is very busy. They want to know if, for example, someone called in, how long it would take for them to be referred or to be seen if they have a concern.
That's a great question. Very, very quickly, because of the fact they're staff members, so we have to prioritize them very quickly. So we always have someone manning the inbox. So if someone refers online, that referral comes through. If we're not sure who is kind of responsible for the callback, that gets allocated to someone, and then that person needs to be contacted as soon as possible. So for instance, if I was to get a referral today, I would be trying to contact that person by the end of today or tomorrow at the latest. We aim to try and get back to people within kind of I would say within about 24 to 48 hours. And it's what we found to be really helpful as well is when people provide both their phone number and their email address, because sometimes when you call, you know, people might be working, just mightn't be able to answer. But I've often found if I also email as well, people will be able to get back to us outside of working hours too.
Thank you. I'm not sure if anyone has any other questions they'd like to ask Ciara in regards to that. Also as well, we have the chat box function. So if you do want to ask any questions, you can do. The details will probably be in the chat box where you then will be able to contact. And the referrals, I'm sure you'll be able to get through with that one.
Yeah, no problem. I'll put in the link to our website now, actually, so everyone has it. Thanks very much.
What I would ask is if you could let us have any further details on long COVID support.
Yeah.
Because we can then circulate that as an item. People are asking about that. And I have to say people are often loath to ask questions in meetings, but we will forward anything, but we do find that people pick it up later. But long COVID has certainly been an area of concern.
Absolutely.
Another area which has also been concerned is obviously the apprehension of COVID and long COVID at the present moment as now, because as things change around outside of health and social care, us who've been in health and social care still have to adhere to certain rules and regulations. And I think there is a big question about why people aren't taking this seriously as well, and it can be troubling, especially the people we're caring for as well, we're trying to protect. So there is a big concern around that as well.
Absolutely, that's no problem. I can put those details in the chat, but also, Peter, I can send you an email after the meeting today as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, anything else on the keeping well front? Thank you very much for that, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Great. And welcome to Rishi, star of Stage, Screen and Hospital Bed.
Good morning. Hi, Peter.
How are you feeling?
I'm still a little bit rough, but nice to see everyone this morning. Just to give a bit of context, I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the call, but I wasn't too well last week. I had to be rushed in for surgery on my appendix, which I didn't realise was inflamed. And even though I was in hospital and they knew it was inflamed, they took a little while to get to me. So my appendix ruptured, and so it made it a little bit more complicated. So I just came back from hospital yesterday, and but I was due to be with you guys today, and knowing Peter and Dudley, I didn't want to not be here. So I'm here, as Peter says, fresh out of hospital.
Thank you very much for making the effort. How are we going to play this, Dudley?
Health and social care at its best, everyone. It does work, everyone. So no, thank you very much for coming on board, Rishi. And I'm sure everyone is probably, apart from that sort of segment, into speaking with Rishi. It's about digitization in the sector. And really, as I mentioned at the beginning, how important it has been for keeping us in touch. Meetings like this obviously work around that. We also have devices that help staff as well as those that the people we care for. We know there's lots of concerns around security data and so many things that are there. The government has obviously looked at the wonderful things that are happening with digitalization and technology, and has really looked to put together some great software that's available from the NHSx website. And we're lucky enough to have one of the individuals or companies that are on there, and they're called CareVision, and that's why I've invited Rishi, who is the proud founder of CareVision. He's going to express what, the wonderful things about technology. But I think one thing that people may not be aware of is that Rishi is a care home owner. And so he is no different to any of us. He's not someone who's come from Silicon Valley to join the care sector. He's actually someone who actually came, or is still part of the sector, and is what he's looked to do is provide something just to help those who are working in the sector. So that's to give you a bit of background, rather than thinking we have lots of money to bring in so many wonderful technological sort of individuals. So thank you very much, Rishi, for coming on board straight from the hospital, and it's all yours.
Fantastic. All right. Well, anyway, as I said, lovely to see all of you. Lots of people on the call I can see, which is great to see. And so to give everyone a bit of background, my name's Rishi. For those of you that haven't seen me, as Dudley said, I've got my own group of homes that my parents started. When we started, I grew up in that first home that my parents started, which was called Homelands in Beckenham. And so it gave me a unique insight into the running of a care home, but it also gave me a different angle of looking at people that we support and within our organization as a family. And I really cherish that, I treasure that, and I think that's central to so many things that we do going forward. So we, from all those lessons that we learned over the years of running care services, and we still run care services, we're still having to learn. We try to pour that knowledge into the system, and try to reduce the risk of errors for other people out there, so that the lessons that we've learned can be put into play within the system. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about digitalization, and some of the benefits. I'll talk to you a little bit about CareVision as well, and some of the things. But just firstly, on the hospital front, it was really interesting to be on the other side of things. You know, I'm fairly fit and healthy. I've never really had any issues with anything, and you know, everybody in their life comes across these bumps and these surprises that come along and can set you back in a way. But you can use those setbacks as things to build on, which I'm hoping to do, you know, as I recover now. But being inside the hospital, I made friends with some other patients, and a couple of them were over 80. I've got a new friend called Brian who was 83, and it was, you know, whilst the care that we receive in the NHS is amazing, and there's lots of good things that happen, for those people that don't have a voice and can't express themselves and put their views across as well, when you can see that and experience it firsthand, you realize how many gaps there are, how many you know, opportunities for things to go wrong there are as well. And I really think that as well, we do need to support older people that go into hospitals, and those people that don't have a voice to speak up for things, especially over the weekends, when the staff level is less, the coordination, the leadership on the wards itself and management of the wards is not the best. And especially with COVID and all these other things kicking about, as much praise as there is for it, the NHS, I think there's an enormous amount of inefficiency in how things are run. And, you know, I'm going to be talking about that more over the months to come, to highlight some of those things and try to bring that to people's attention after experiencing it firsthand. But anyway, enough of me on my soapbox. I'm going to share screen now, and let's have a little look at, here we go. I hope you can see my screen now. Can you all see my screen? Yes, brilliant. So we're going to be talking a little bit about digitalization, and we've touched on my background a bit, and the fact that I have my own group of homes. CareVision was actually born from the fact that I was frustrated of using other systems out there. We were on paper for many years, and you know, it was always a challenge to actually record the good care that we do. Even though carers' priority is always going to be the practical needs first, we need to evidence that when we've got safeguarding, when we've got compliance things to look at, when we want to evidence to the families the good care that we're providing. It's really important that we have this culture of recording communication. At the same time, it's really easy for people to say that, go digital, you know, get on board with electronic care planning systems. But in the realities of our little environments within our care homes, we know we've got people within our teams that are going to be so afraid of technology, that are going to, it might even push them away to say, look, this is too much for me. This is going to put pressure on me. I prefer to stick with pen and paper. And we can't just be like the government with how they dealt with vaccination and just say, you have to do it, because we know that doesn't work. We have to bring people along with us, and we have to find a way to grab everyone within that sort of digital journey. And so I really think targeting those people that need the help the most as well, and how we can support them, is going to be really important whilst we're planning that. So the benefits of going digital and choosing a care management system. So avoiding duplication and inaccurate records with point of care recording is going to be really important. If we spend less time sitting in the corner of the room, as I often say, then you know, writing away and not engaging with our residents, we're taking away that time for positive connection. That's what we're here for. We're here for those magic moments, those 5 minutes when we're having a chat with someone, we're talking about what job they used to do or what they used to do for their kids at Christmas time, whatever it might be. That's the magic of connection. That's why lots of us are in care. And in order to get that time, to buy that time, having an electronic system that's going to do that for you will allow more positive connections. We can then analyze evidence. We can go through and from lessons learned regarding accidents and incidents, regarding wound care, whatever it might be. Having data there to be able to analyze is going to make it easier to make improvements. And Dudley touched on this as well. NHSx have really, done a lot of work into putting criteria out there to give providers confidence when they're choosing a system. It's a minefield now because there's so many new providers coming in to play, offering this for free or something else for free or device for free. But at the end of the day, a £200 device for free, is it going to help your staff buy into the system? Is it going to help you implement and get things going across the home so that the families really support you moving to an electronic system? I think there has to be more thought, more planning in how that's looked at. And even though you need to consider your first steps on that digital journey, considering the whole journey as well is going to be an important part of that. Do I want to have EMR in the future? How are we going to manage our HR and things like that? These are things that it's important to consider. And is the system that I'm choosing going to cover some of those things, or am I going to have to get multiple systems, which might make it more complicated a bit further down the road? Engaging the workforce throughout that time. I think it's important as well to involve them when you're making decisions about the care planning system. Why not have a group of carers, maybe some seniors as well, looking at demos, looking at the system so they can put their views forward, so everyone can have their perspective and their voices heard when making that decision. I think that's really important. I've got an Apple phone and I hate it, but because I've been with Apple for about 10 years, my data, my everything's with them. So if I do change and go to something else, I'm going to have to shift all my data. Do I really want to do that, even though I might know there's better options out there? If I would have maybe thought beforehand and planned that better, to have maybe more flexibility in where I could go, or to have more forethought, maybe I would have made a different decision. So I think all of these things are important to consider. User-friendly, having good support from your team. You don't want to have a company that's sort of going to send you an invoice, do a bit of training for you, and then disappear. You need to have that consistent support. You're going to have new staff coming on board. You're going to have staff leave, new members of the team, and keeping that consistency of knowledge is really important. Nominating digital champions as well. I think that's a great way to get things going and keep the momentum going in each of your homes as well. And, involving the families in that decision. Everything we do for good care, as Peter and Dudley often talk about, is about involving all those interested parties and getting their buy-in. So families don't think that, oh, your carers are just looking at phones all the time. They're not actually, they're recording care evidence. They're doing it in that way. And if you find that the system does require the carers to sort of spend a lot of screen time, then is that the right system? So there's a number of things to think about there, but looking at the NHSx assured supplies list is a great place to start, because you know that they've had to go through the criteria of achieving that, which is really quite rigorous. And it's really a positive move going forward, because it gives people some assurance. So have a look at that assured supply list on the digital social care, and you'll find CareVision there as well. So transform the care and user experience by going digital. I know that, like I said, when you're going to always have resistance, you're going to have barriers to adoption. You're going to have those people within the organization that really want to dig their heels in. They don't want to change, and maybe that might spread to the rest of the team. So it's important that you do identify that, and you try to bring, like I said, those people along with you when you're doing so. Why not move with the times? As much as we might be confident with existing structures and systems, it's important to embrace new change and embrace new ways of doing things. And I think if we don't do that and we continue to resist, we may be left behind. Again, it's often talked about the direction of CQC, and even however slow they might move, they do understand and recognize now, and it's been well talked about their intentions to push people onto digital systems, the prospect that if there are future pandemics and other issues where they can't visit homes, would they be carrying out these things from an online perspective and inspections from online? So again, being one step ahead and already on board is going to be a great help in that. Increasing productivity and efficiency across the service, reducing errors, and help keep people safer. Some of the things I'm going to highlight to you when I show you a little bit of CareVision will be about safety as well, and how we can reduce that. And I think that's a really important part of a good system. Does it make people safer? So that's another great consideration. Writing notes long after the event, you're more likely to not capture the actual accuracy of what's happened. Maybe people might be inventing some of the notes, might be writing something they remembered from yesterday or whatever it might be. And when you need to look back at something and you want that evidence there, it might not be there. If you carry out that note at the point of care, it's far more likely to be accurate and detailed. So using handheld devices to capture these things rather than writing on paper or going to a laptop in the corner of the room is going to help with that. And making consistent improvement is another part of that. And as well, continuing that digital journey, you know, for example, visitors coming into the building, how do we manage that at the moment? Do they still sign in on paper when they come into the building? Is that GDPR compliant? So does my system offer a visitor tablet as well, so that people can sign in? And, you know, if I'm an elderly visitor, how do I get in? If I'm a GP on a regular basis, could I use a QR maybe to sign in on the visitor book? So these types of integrations and the way things are going forward, again, are really important to consider. So what I wanted to do is as well just to show you a little bit of CareVision and what it can do. And I'm just going to move now across to my handheld device. I hope you can all see that on your screen. And this is a CareVision handheld device, and I'm just going to play out a scenario here of a few things that might be happening day to day in care homes and how we can help keep people safer. A big thing at the moment has been around food and fluid and salt and getting things right. And, you know, we've heard some real horror stories of people not being given the right fluid and food consistency, and the choking, other elements that can happen that can really be devastating. And how can we avoid that when carers are trying their best? A lot of the time you might take on a digital system but find that, can I really trust it 100% to make sure that my staff are going to give people the right fluid consistency? Do I still have to print out a bit of paper next to the kitchenette to make people sort of to highlight some of those things? So if we were working with Tim here, you can see Tim in the corner. We can see that he's on respect documentation. We can see that he's got a butterfly symbol here, meaning that he's on end of life care. If I touch this exclamation mark next to Tim, it's going to give me some of the further important headlines to do with Tim. So we can see he's got an allergy. He's on a food chart, for example. If I touch any of these alerts, they're going to tell me what Tim's allergic to. So he's got a nut allergy, for example. So again, if I'm an agency staff, a new member of staff, I've got some key points that I can look at to help me when I'm looking after Tim. Any notes that we would be writing relating to Tim, the majority of them could be recorded through this one flow. So it's really easy for carers to get used to. So if I go into interactions, let's say I'm giving Tim a drink. Maybe I'm an agency staff and I'm just working with him for the first time. So I could be, I go into interactions, and what type of note do I want to write? Well, if I wanted to write something about Tim's temperature, blood pressure, or pulse, I could do that under vitals. If it was something relating to care, I could do it under this category. But this is about food and fluid, so it's going to be under health. So maybe I'm in the dining room. So I'm going to select dining room. By selecting dining room in the comment box, it's done something for me. Tim was in the dining room. So it's starting to write the note for me. I don't have to think too much. I don't have to take too much time. I want to give Tim a drink, but he's on a fluid chart. Do I have to go to a separate screen? Do I have to go somewhere else to see what level he's at? Let's go to fluid intake. So right at the top here, we can see that Tim's at 0 mil of 1750 mil. So we know exactly where he is. There's no complication for the carer. It's one screen for recording the note, and I can see that. I've also got another warning here about his fluid consistency level, level 1, slightly thick. So we could go in and we could say, actually, we've given Tim a cup of tea. Maybe we've offered him 200 mils of tea, and he's consumed 100 mils of it, half of it. So we can save that. Oh, but when we save that, again, this is where our care knowledge kicks in. It's reminding us that Tim's on a fluid consistency level 1. So we need to add that in order to be safe. So there's a number of triggers here to help prevent the carer give the wrong type of fluid consistency and maybe for something to go wrong. So here I can add that very easily. I can press save now. And then in the note, Tim was in the dining room, offered 200 mils of tea, drank 100 mils of tea. Fluid was mixed to a slightly thick consistency like syrup. So again, by having that intelligence and intuition behind the system, the carer is not having to think too hard. The carer is not having to have to spend too long recording this note. And by using these icons, it's helped to prompt to record that good care. So that's an example of a type of fluid note. I know in my homes that's gone wrong before, and this is why we put a lot of work into fluid. Things like activities are really important when you've got families saying that, my dad's watching TV all day, he's not doing anything. Again, how can we evidence good care that we're doing? So if we went into the activity category here, maybe we're in the lounge, and Tim was in the lounge. So we're doing some activities. Maybe Tim's watched a film. Maybe he's done a crossword. Maybe he's listened to music. So we can say that Tim was in the lounge, watched a film, did crosswords, listened to music. Now, there might be times when you want to write something a bit more individual. You don't want to use an icon. We can press the pencil. When we press the pencil, we can then write whatever we want. And again, when I was trialing this with my carers in my homes, they said typing takes too long. So we've also added this dictation feature. Today, we watched a film about the Beatles and Paul McCartney. So again, we can add dictation. We could even do that in multiple languages. If we're thinking about equality and diversity, people whose first language isn't English, we can speak in multiple languages and it will translate for you. So again, we give the carer not just a fixed way of doing things, there's multiple options for doing that. So we've added that further detail here. And when we scroll down on this screen as well, this is where we can add some further detail to highlight, that good care. So we could, everything that we do with our residents, we're chatting to them, we're talking to them. How often do our staff write it down? So we could use the chat icon here, which is a great prompt to say that maybe Tim's chatted to me as well for 15 minutes. We can save that. Just by that little line of chatted to me for 15 minutes, it makes that note look more interesting. If that's my dad or my loved one, I'll be really pleased to know that conversation's gone on. Mood and things like that as well. With any interaction that we're highlighting, we can also bring that into play here. We could say that Tim's happy, interested, and confident, maybe as well. And if we're looking at NAPA guidance as well, we've got engagement needs as well within the system. So in an optional way, the carer can add this level of detail. It's a cultural film about the Beatles because that's British culture. Maybe he's done a crossword, so that's intellectual. when listening to music, that might be sensory. So again, you can add this detail very quickly without having to do much work. So you know, these are some of the things that we can do on the system as well. I'll just save that note. So in terms of safety, and in terms of, you know, looking after people, I remember my night staff as well. They wouldn't always carry out their night checks. They wouldn't always, you know, when using paper, it's a pretty easy way to get around things and to, you know, to not carry out things. I remember one of our residents went missing when we were on paper. The night staff had signed every 2 hours that they checked the resident, and our resident had ended up in Oxford Circus tube station. How can we avoid that happening? How can we avoid the staff doing things like that? If we were a nighttime carer, we'd be in the bedroom, maybe with Tim. Tim was in the bedroom, maybe we've checked him if he's asleep or he's awake. Maybe he's deeply asleep. We can save it. Tim appeared to be deeply asleep. Maybe we've turned him as well. Again, when we're turning, we don't have to go to a separate chart. We've got the last turn position right here. The last turn position was from prone to right side. So we can turn Tim. Maybe we can turn him from right side onto the back. We can also use a slide sheet, because these icons are helping remind the carer of the good care that they should be doing. We've checked the air mattress pressure as well. So that's a really nice note there. Tim was in the bedroom, moved from the right side onto the back. Slide sheet was used, air mattress pressure was checked. And again, how do we know that the staff were there? Well, along here, we've got the QR code function. And if I press QR code, it opens up the camera on my device. CareVision automatically generates a QR for each resident. It creates a unique icon and gives a timestamp. So as a night staff, I as well can prove that I've done my job. If Dudley, my manager, always tells me, Rishi, you're turning somebody on your own, and because of that, you're causing lots of skin peels and lots of injury, I can say, no, Dudley, I'm not actually, because if you have a look at the note, I went to the assistance tab, I pressed assistance, and then my colleague, I scanned my colleague's QR code to prove that she was in the room with me as well. So we can see here that we can scan a staff member's QR code to verify double-handed, triple-handed task. Pauline H also assisted in performing this task and has been verified. So there's a number of things here that we can highlight, and you know, CareVision as well can bring in things like maintenance and other things like that where you can take photos. But if I just very quickly dip into, just bear with me, if I just dip into this screen and I share, and then we go to here. Can you see my CareVision login screen there? Yeah, on the web. So yeah, okay, thanks, Dudley. Just going to sign in here. For now, I'm Dudley, the manager. I want to see what's that naughty Rishi been getting up to, and you know, what work has he been carrying out with my residents. I log in. We can see that this handover prompt is there with read receipts. Our staff actually reading handover. And if I go into Tim, for example, let's find Tim. I'm going to search for Tim here, and I'm going to go into Tim's profile. I'm the manager sitting in the office now, accessing CareVision from my laptop or my desktop computer. I'm going to go into daily notes. And when I go into daily notes, I can see at 10:49, Tim was in the bedroom, moved from the right side onto the back. The slide sheet was used. The air mattress pressure was checked. That's the note we just did together. At 10:47, Tim was in the lounge, watched a film, did crosswords, listened to music, chatted to me for 15 minutes. Again, that's the previous note. And at 10:44, Tim was in the dining room, offered 200 mils of tea, drank 100 mils of tea. So you can see that daily notes organizes those notes in a really nice way. We've got all the filters here by date when we need to search for something. If I type in fluid, I could get any notes relating to fluid. So it makes it so easy to find notes. If there's an issue with a particular carer as well, we could highlight Oleg here and we could go into that and we could see any notes that Oleg has done relating to Tim. But again, that one note from this handheld device has, you know, sent data to all the relevant places that we need to go. So if we were looking at something like fluid intake, for example, we could see analysis of that fluid across the whole home. So straight away, without much sweat, breaking a sweat, the carers entering OneNote, we've got, you know, how many people are at balance deficit. We can see that, how of our staff team, who's offering the most fluids, etc. So we can highlight, we can analyze things in that way. So there's a number of things here from the reporting side and the analytical side that we can bring out, and this is really just going to improve your services. I remember, you know, it's so easy to miss some of these things, but like, for example, bowels not opened within 72 hours. How many people are constipated and we're not doing anything about it? CareVision is going to tell you that and bring this information to you straight away. Fluid as well. Have we not done our temperature checks within the last 24 hours? Again, CareVision is going to bring this information to us in a really nice way. Missing hygiene and any reports relating to that. So again, I just, you know, I'm not really here to give you a sort of full-blown whistle-stop tour of CareVision, but I just wanted to highlight some of the power that bringing you know, digital systems and bringing sort of technology into your service can do. And you know, just to highlight some of those points. I'd be really happy to talk further with anyone that you know, wanted to have some more information about this, or some advice going forward on that. And you know, I think it is very important to embrace new ways of doing things and try to make consistent and constant improvement in what we do for the benefit of the people that we're looking after. That's the ultimate aim. And also a little bit, as we talked about earlier, making the lives of our staff and the staff teams better, and bringing more quality to the workplace will also be another great benefit of going digital. So I think I will pause there, and if that's okay, and maybe if there are any questions or anything that people would like to ask me while I'm here, I'd love to help out.
Thank you very much, Rishi. I mean, for someone who was in hospital about a day ago, I think you've done extremely well. So thanks for that and stepping in. Please, by anyone wants to ask Rishi a question or curious, you can either ask in the chat or you can actually raise your hand and ask a question. Rishi, please can you put your details in the chat box so people will be able to contact you, or even something they can think about. It's something which is really important. And one question that someone had sent me beforehand was how effective has your system been for family members during the pandemic? Because I think there's been a big change, and I think a lot of families have been anxious during this period. So can you just give us sort of how useful it's been, not just for your staff or for the residents, but actually for the family members?
Yeah, I think the pandemic in a way was a wake-up call for the industry in so many ways. We communicate everything with the families. If there's an accident, if somebody's not feeling well, this all has to be done. That does take up our time as well, from an admin perspective, from a care perspective. So having a system where there is the ability for families to maybe access that information, to maybe have some two-way communication, is really going to benefit. So I know on our family app, we have many families that have commented and really praised that sort of dialogue that's commenced now. For example, care plans, consents as well can be signed via our family app. So it's a great way to do things. I think as well, with the, not just relating to pandemic, I think in this changing world and the way that families, you know, do go global, and we might have relatives in Australia that want to keep an eye and want to have knowledge of what's going on. You know, having this ability in these apps to keep people in touch is really going to be important going forward, because CQC are going to ask you about it. They come in already and they want to know what's your process when somebody's had an accident, how do you inform them? And sort of taking it a stage further and saying that it's not just about informing people about accidents or signing care plans. You know, we're promoting good news stories. We're showing a lovely activity that took place this morning with namaste and massage and those things to just to lift your heart and warm you, to make you think that, you know, mum's having a really great day and she's being well looked after. That is part of the whole spectrum of the care that we need to provide. It's not just directly to that service user, it's also to their family. So engaging them with Family App is going to be really, really important.
I think that's great, having almost a way into the human side of care that happens in a care home, which many families members don't actually get to see. Funny enough, this is also providing that. I'm conscious of time, but also there are various questions in the chat box, and I'll go through one by one.
If I could just throw a comment in, if I may, Dudley, please. I mean, Rishi, I mean, it's obviously very valuable to have you here today, and we have CQC coming up next month, and one of the things they will be covering is the use of digitization. And I think one point that is actually sometimes neglected, and Ciara would have made this point possibly, but a lot of staff leave social care because of anxiety over what they have written or how they have communicated. And the use of a system such as CareVision, or one of the competitive ones that works equally well possibly, is being able to avoid the anxiety of staff and hang on to staff. And retaining staff at the moment is a very valuable item. And also, you know, CQC again are going to start looking at how you look after your staff, the keeping well side, the well-being of your staff, not just the people you're looking after.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really, really big point. How do we keep the stress levels of our already stressed team down? You know, how can we manage that? And I think, you know, one of the things that we highlight, you know, within CareVision is every time people update notes or record something on the system, we update their statistics. So we can see here that Juliana's done 97 care plans. She's done 27 daily notes. Here, Sega's done 337. Every time they're doing a little note, it's updating their statistics. So when we're sitting down doing supervisions with our staff, we can praise them for how they're interacting with the system. So not only is it reducing their stress, it's sort of showing off the great work that they're doing. And why not celebrate that? Why not make it a celebration when they're recording good evidence? So I think that's really a very important part of it as well. And you know, the other thing about systems and planning digital journeys as well, from a staffing perspective, is, you know, how do I manage HR? How do I get my references, my DBS? Does my system include that? You know, and it's important when you're choosing that to think, yeah, I still need my staff files. They're going to be checked. They're going to, you know, have this information. So I've got training matrix. I've got my training records within the system here for each of the staff members. When it comes to vaccination status, and CQC are going to ask us about that, you know, have I got access to that kind of information for each of my staff members as well? And, you know, again, having things on one system is really going to help with that, because then you don't have too many places to look and check. And this is one of the benefits of an integrated system, having EMAR, having HR all within one system is going to make it easier. And ultimately, as Peter's saying, reduce that stress, you know, on people and help them. So there's a number of different modules here, which are all part of CareVision, which can be used as well. And I think having a sort of one integrated system or one way of doing things, one letterbox to check, again, reduces that staff stress in that way. And I think it's a really important consideration, how you manage that.
Fantastic. So there are a few questions, so we'll see if we can whistle through them in the chat box. Very quickly, Rishi, someone's asked what's the app you are using. I think you've mentioned it, but
Yeah, I'll put it again in the chat, and carevisioncms.com, that's our website. And I'm also going to put my email in so that anybody can please get in touch with me. And it doesn't, even if you're not thinking about CareVision, if you're thinking about, as Peter says, some of the other systems that are on the assured suppliers list, you have to pick the system that's right for you. But at the same time, there's a few things to consider. If anyone wants to talk through that, I'll be really happy to help, or put you in touch with other people that can help on that.
Yeah, if there's a list of common Q&A, that we could actually put that on the website or circulate it.
Indeed. Yeah. Okay, so some personal questions more to you, Rishi. Is there a MAR chart included?
Yeah, EMAR's part of CareVision as well. It's something that I would say, let's focus on care and care planning for the first 3 months, get that under our belt, especially if you're coming from paper. Everybody wants to have everything on the system, but I'd like to do it in phases and stages so that people can digest that. Like Peter was saying, think about your staff and their stress levels, their buy-in. So of course, yes, it's all within the system, but we would do it in stages, and I encourage people to sort of come up with a plan with us that would make it not overwhelming for the staff.
Okay. Next question, Mohammed, is what sort of services is your system suitable for, or what systems can they support, should we say?
Yeah, we support care homes, nursing homes, smaller supported living services, learning disabilities as well. We do support some dom care services. We do have the ability to support some dom care, even though that's not been our primary objective. So we're quite flexible in who we can support, and the icons and the system, the way that you've seen, we can easily add and build things, which we're constantly doing to the system to be able to bring more users under our umbrella.
A compliance question is, how can inspectors and external auditors access the information in a way that they're familiar when using a hard copy?
Yeah, excellent. So in terms of that, there's a number of ways that you can do it, and we could set up a profile for an inspector or an auditor to be able to view. The care home could control what that person could see and have access to, so it would all be within your control. But I think that that's definitely the way it's going, people will want to have that sort of access. We're working with NHSx and some of the other providers on the assured suppliers list of a shared care record. And one of the first stops in that journey is going to be a hospital transport form, so that a transfer form, so that could we have a uniform hospital transfer that is going to be able to be recognised by any hospital, have the key points of information about that resident. So it's already starting to try and bring a bit of uniformity between the systems, so that when we're sharing data with GPs, with NHS, there's going to be some uniformity to it.
Thank you very much, Rishi. I'm not sure if there's anyone wants to ask any more questions. I think Rishi has really done well, and I think there are a lot of things there that Rishi has mentioned, not just about digitalization and care systems, but also obviously the service he brings to the table and his experiences, obviously, from starting out and seeing what probably pressures there are for providers now, and actually trying to help with that. When almost having that voice of interaction. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Dudley, can I just say one more thing quickly? And I'd like people to also get in touch with me, because just talking about wellness and the staff team in particular, that is another real focus in my own homes. And, one of the things that I've got happening in April is I've got Dr. Michael Verdi coming over from America to visit my homes and some other homes out here, and he's going to be speaking on making positive connections with the people that you're looking after, making positive connections with the people that are working with us. So we're having a number of workshops which I'm helping Michael put together in association with St Christopher's Hospice. And it's not just about palliative care, so please don't think that it's there's a beautiful new education centre that's been built at St Christopher's Hospice, and Michael's going to be speaking there on a few occasions. So anybody that's got interest in that, please contact me. I spent some time in a Buddhist retreat with Michael in America, and I was hanging out with some monks, learning about Buddhism, but not really learning about specifically Buddhism. It was learning about life and being mindful. And if anyone wants to contact me and talk about that, because these are great things to talk about with your staff, again, to engage them, to start, you know, if we can't care if we can't care for ourselves, how can we care for others? And I think it has to start there when you're looking at your staff teams. So anyone that wants to get in touch with me about that, please do so as well.
Thank you very much, Rishi. It's been really great having you on board. And I think a lot of people have learned a lot more about digitalization systems. And thank you. And I think there is a nice segment where we talked about what's looked for and beyond that. And we've got Paul Harper, who is with us today and who probably will speak on things related to, obviously, I think technology and digitalization in the care system, and also some potential funding to enable you to actually access systems like this. So thank you very much, Rishi. And Paul, I think, I think if you can jump in now, that'd be great.
Yeah, no problem at all. And actually some very wise words from Rishi there, particularly in your introductory segment. So absolutely very helpful, and very helpful for that sort of provide context around digital social care records and why we should all do it. We should all look at it, but importantly, leave nobody behind, because digital can be for everybody. Peter, am I running my own slides, or are you able to launch them for me? What's the... I can launch. If not, I'll just share my screen. You are a star, Peter. Thank you very much. Lovely. Okay, so if we go on to the next slide. I may have shown this next slide before, and really in South West London, and my focus is South West London, but I've tried to make this presentation generic, because I appreciate there's people attending from lots of other areas. So I use this slide really to demonstrate the breadth of digital opportunities available to care homes. My focus is care homes, but clearly some of these functions also have application in domiciliary and other settings. So I use this to sort of demonstrate the range of opportunities available, and also where things like DSPT fits, and why we should progress through DSPT, as painful as it might be. It is a really important gateway to lots of digital opportunities. There's lots more money coming for digital. So in terms of DSPT, don't make it a barrier. It is absolutely a gateway. And if you're stuck with it, do seek help. All of the CCGs are resourced to be able to support. Sorry, Peter, it's going through a bit too quick. It's obviously on some auto thing, my fault. So all CCGs are funded to support DSPT, and certainly in South West London, people contact that address, we can add that, offer that support. So particularly if you're looking to get into that interoperable data sharing, that very safe data sharing, if you're looking to have NHS mail in place, then DSPT is the thing that you need to work through. It doesn't have to be painful. I worked with one provider, and they progressed DSPT over about a 6-week period. Very light touch from me and from a help desk. So it doesn't have to be massively onerous, and the support out there if you get stuck. Sorry, I'm still on the graph slide. I will take off the automated thing. Don't know how it's appeared. I thought I'd share with you the sort of overall position in terms of where ICSs are with DSPT, just for your information. And we're all making progress. There's still a number of homes that aren't registered. There are quite a few that are approaching standards, but it is about getting through DSPT as rapidly as we can, as well as we can. These need to be valuable, usable self-assessments. But I think also in challenging times when cyber threats are becoming more of a reality, having your workforce with that greater understanding about data protection is really important. So do look at it, keep it refreshed, and seek help if and when you get stuck, because absolutely that help is there with DSPT. It's a priority for everybody. And next slide, please, Peter. And really, I just wanted to plug Digital Social Care. It's a fantastic website, lots of really helpful, useful resources. Do register for their newsletter. That'll keep you up to date with all matters digital. And there's a really helpful little video there. I think it's only about 4 minutes, but if you want an overview of DSPT, just do that. Take 4 minutes of your time, but it'll give you that really helpful overview of DSPT. And I think the Digital Social Care website has changed recently. It's made it a bit more user-friendly. So some really helpful supports around DSPT and other bits and pieces. Now, moving on to Digital Social Care records. Why are we doing it? Why do we want to offer this transformation and encourage homes that are paper-based to now look at digital? It's certainly an NHS target. They're looking for 80% of CQC registered social care providers to have that record in place by March 24. It's a big target, and that's social care generally. So we're talking care homes, we're talking domiciliary services, and there are various routes to sort of help make this happen. But it's an important facility. It's an important thing to have. The notion being around this interoperable data sharing, this safe data sharing between with the NHS and other authorities. So why move to paper? And actually, I think Rishi's section on the benefits was better and more useful than mine. But these are some of the benefits that we've come up with. I'm supporting about 5 homes at the moment to move away from paper to digital. And one said recently that they were enjoying, their words, enjoying their new digital social care record, which is great. You know, if a home has grasped digital with enthusiasm, the staff are enjoying the experience, that's a great thing. Definitely, it is about containing data safely. It's about improving your care planning. It's about collecting information more passively. It's not about sitting in a back room filling out forms, as you tend to have to do with paper-based systems. It is about being able to spend more time with residents and reducing waste. So lots of other benefits. But actually, I think Rishi's slide on this was better than mine. Importantly, this is the list of NHSx accredited suppliers. So CareVision is very much there, and I've seen the wider demonstration of CareVision from Rishi several weeks ago. It's an impressive system. There are 7 systems currently on this accredited, this assured list, and that may increase because there are other systems out there. But if you are looking to make a decision, if for you moving away from paper is the right thing to do, start here. You don't need to do wider research. Start here and see if any of these systems are fit for purpose for you. Now, there's some really useful video content with each of these. So you can scan through, launch the video, see if that fits your operations, it fits that purpose, is best for your client group. But do review all of them, because they're all slightly different, that their offers are slightly different. But in terms of, I think as Rishi was saying, the ability to turn voice to text, including in foreign languages, if you've got a workforce where English is not a first language, the ability to point and click and drop down boxes as well as free text on a handheld device that will work anywhere within your home. It's a really great functionality. So do check out that list. Supporting this program And this masterclass session is nearly over, but I will plug the very final session, 29th of March, retrofitting tech into older buildings. If you're working in an older building, it's always a challenge to make sure that the Wi-Fi reaches everywhere. Attend that webinar. There might be something there that helps. But each of these webinars have been recorded. So if you've missed any, if you want to catch up, if you've missed the whole program, if you want to go back, they're all available on that website, and do take a look. So combined, that masterclass series plus the resources that are available through the assured supplier list will probably help you make a decision. And if one of those solutions isn't right for you, there may well be others in the pipeline for this assured list. So Dudley talked about funding. We know there's lots more money coming for digital, including for digital social care records. There's about 150 million identified for digital in social care through the white paper that came out last year, and that's over a 3-year period. Some CCGs have received funding under the Unified Tech Fund, which can support homes with license costs, with mobilisation costs for digital social care records. So it's worth checking in with your CCG to see what is available either now or what's coming up in terms of that support for homes moving away from paper and going on to one of those assured suppliers of a digital social care record. If that money isn't there now, it will be in the not too distant future, because we know more is coming as part of that NHS drive to have 80% of CQC registered services digital by 2024. So that's all from me today. Very happy to take questions. If people want to email me, please feel free. We'll drop my email into the chat. It's exciting times for digital, and yeah, get on board now while the support is available would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That was great. And this might be overkill, but we cannot stress to you too much about becoming digitally organized, and it's just going to work against you if you aren't able to do what CQC and local authority quality monitoring teams want. Any points or questions for Paul? And we will, just to reiterate, we will be putting all the slides on the website very shortly.
Just one quick point, Paul, before we move on. How, if someone does want to access funding, what's the next steps if they were to, very quickly?
Not all CCGs have received a bid on the UTF, but I think about 13 have around the country. I think there's one other in London. So if you've got a digital contact within the CCG, I would say ask, or email me and I'll put you in the right direction. So South London, we have money available, and we're sort of looking at our rationale for offering that funding. So far, the homes that I've supported have been the smaller learning disability homes that are more challenged digitally. So those that are at the lower end of the digital readiness scale, that's kind of where we've prioritised, but we might open it up to other homes too. But yeah, try your CCGs. If you don't get any joy, come to me. I can give you a sort of list of which areas have received funding so far. But I think the point is there's very definitely more money coming. So I think the other thing is these systems don't have to be massively expensive. I think for the homes that I'm supporting at the moment, okay, they're quite small, 6 beds, 8 beds, but the recurrent costs are about £200 per bed per annum. So it can be an affordable solution. But there is some information on the digital social care site that might help with you putting business plans, business cases together.
Thank you, Peter. I think we're moving on to I think so. People have asked for your email address, so if you can in the inbox, Paul, that would be great.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay. Peter, I think we want to move on to our next wonderful Skills for Care. We've got Laura Anthony speaking here.
Yeah, and having had a preview of the presentation, there's some very useful stuff here. And one thing we do find is that when we offer information of this type to providers, they sometimes don't take the benefit of looking at surveys and things like that. Please do, because it does make a big difference, and your input is useful to the likes of CCGs, Skills for Care. So make the effort to be part of it. Laura.
Hey, thank you, Peter. So that's Skills for Care. Digital is currently quite a big priority for us. So developing the digital skills of staff working at all levels, so from entry level up to manager. And the benefits of digital have been touched on quite a bit by Paul and Rishi. But just to say as well, there was some research recently that was undertaken by the King's Fund, which showed that the use of digital technology in health and social care can really improve the quality of care, efficiency, and also people's experiences of care as well. So really important. And I'll talk today about some of the resources available from Skills for Care to support you embed digital service technologies within your service, and also some of the other pieces of work we're involved with around digital. Okay, so the next slide, please, Peter. So a big piece of work we're involved in at the moment is developing an adult social care digital skills framework. And this is going to be a kind of what good looks like framework for digital knowledge and skills. So it's going to outline what people working in social care need to know and need to understand. And there's going to be 7 themes in the framework, which I put on the slides. And under each of these themes, there's going to be a series of sub-themes as well. And the plan is that this framework is going to launch either later this month or next month. And I think it's going to be really helpful just for things like if you're doing an audit of the digital skills of your staff, just to see where there's any gaps. And perhaps as well, if you're commissioning digital training for yourself, for your staff team, you can just refer to this framework to make sure that all the key areas are covered. But there'll be more information about this available shortly, so I'll keep everybody updated. And the other piece of work we were involved with was running a digital leadership programme for managers. Go on to the next slide, please, Peter. So yeah, a digital leadership programme for managers, and the purpose of this was to develop people's confidence and also ability in using digital technology in the workplace. And this was free of charge. It was run, I think, late last year, earlier this year. But we're hoping to run further digital leadership programmes later on this year. So if you would be interested, please put a note in the chat and I can send you further details once they're available. And we're hoping that future programmes will be free of charge to access as well. But if there is a charge, it's very likely you can claim back the costs of any course fees via Skills for Care's workforce development funding. So potentially a really good programme free of charge to you as managers. Watch this space on that one. And next one, please, Peter. So the Digital Champions pilot, which Paul Harper has spoken about at previous meetings, we do now have a cohort of people from across South London who are going to be trained as digital champions. They can then go back into their workplace and support their colleagues to embed digital technology. So a fantastic role, a really good development opportunity. So this cohort's doing their training at the moment, and it is a pilot. So we hope if it is successful, there'll be further opportunities to roll this work out to other care staff who may be interested. So again, watch this space, but we think there may be some more digital champions development opportunities available later in the year. Next one, please, Peter. I'm going to talk now about some of the resources available from Skills for Care. And the first one is a digital self-assessment tool. And you can use this to help you measure your staff digital capabilities and just use it as well to look at whether you have the right infrastructure in place to be able to implement technology successfully within your service. It's free to use, and it can help you kind of understand your strengths as well as any obstacles or barriers that may be in place. And the main areas this tool focuses on are leadership and management, also staff, data protection and cyber security, and using data and information. So you can access it via the hyperlink on the slide, and you'll be asked to complete a series of questions, which will take no more than 15 minutes. Once you've submitted your answers, you'll receive an email with your results and also links to resources and support that may be able to help you just based on what your answers were. So do have a look at that. And on the next slide, information about another resource we have, which is a guide to becoming a digital social care organisation. And this gives you a clear step-by-step process to support you on your digital journey. And it has guidance in there about how to get staff and people who use your services to buy in. There's some questions in there that you can use to ask suppliers when you're exploring which digital options best suit your organisation. And there's some links as well to videos of registered managers talking about what their approach has been and just some tips about some examples of best practice. And the next thing to say, if I could move on, Peter, on the 30th of March, we're going to be running a session via Zoom that's called Getting to Grips with Digital Basics. And this is very much aimed at care workers who aren't very experienced with using digital technology. So we'll be covering things like using email, search engines, how to look for information online, how to complete online forms. So very basic, and I'll put the link in the slide, in the chat there, sorry, if you want to book anybody on. It's just 2 hours long. It's going to be from 10 to 11, and you can book via the link I've just put into the slides. And we're going to be running the session alongside Barclays Digital Legals, who I'll give more information about on my next slides. Move on, Peter. So you may have heard of Barclays Digital Legals already, but they're a fantastic free resource for care providers. And they've got an e-learning platform called Digital Wings, which you can access. And this platform offers a range of bite-sized learning courses in topics such as staying safe online. There's one on making your business digital, and also one on keeping residents and people you may support in their own homes, supporting them to be connected to their friends and their family. You just need to visit their website on the slide there and register using the code at the bottom of the slide, so SCIFCAR. And they also offer tailored e-learning and virtual learning sessions to meet the requirements of your own organisation. So if their programmes available currently don't really meet your needs, do get in touch with them to have a chat, and they may be able to tailor something specifically for your own staff team. Again, I think it's free of charge. So yeah, really, really helpful. Do get in touch with them if there's anything that you need. And just the last slide, my contact details. So any queries about digital and skills for care resources, just get in touch with me. I cover South West London. My colleague Selena is North West London.
Thank you very much, Laura. I think there's so much there that I've been offering from a digital point of view. I think as a theme of digitalization, there's so much to learn around that. I'm not sure if there's any points anyone wants to make before Laura goes, but please do visit Skills for Care's website. There is a new website that they've done, so I think there's a raft of information that's there.
Yeah, having had those slides for a few days, I've passed some of the information on to a number of social care providers who've already used it and found it very useful. So you need to take advantage of, it's easier for us to say, but you need to take advantage of what is available. And with the likes of Skills for Care, etc., there's some really useful free stuff there. So, you know, it's your business, it's your future.
Before we go, we had another offering from Sally Willcox. I think, I'm not sure if she's still here, on available. Well, I did say we'd grab her. It's been a full-on, as you can imagine, session. But I know you had an offering that there's also would appeal to a lot of providers out there. So We haven't got long, Sally, so
Yeah.
No problem.
Appreciate that. Well, I have just done one slide actually, but if you want me to share that, just so people can, it's easier for people to pick it up visually rather than me just talking about it. But yeah, thank you.
Made you co-host, so that's no problem.
Okay, let me see where I can share screen. This one. Okay, can people see that screen now? Yeah, okay. So it's a piece of work. So I'm Sally, I work for the Institute of Public Care, part of Oxford Brookes University. And we're doing one of 6 extension projects around the Better Security, Better Care programme. And obviously it's been really interesting actually to sit in on the meeting and kind of hear about the digital agenda that's coming forward. So the projects that we're working on is specifically around the DSPT, and where NHSx are looking to remove some of the barriers that social care providers are facing when they want to actually sign up to publish their DSPT to become compliant. And one of those areas was around the staff training. So on question 3.2.1, which if any of you have done the DSPT, you'll probably be familiar with that. It requires that at least 95% of your staff have received training in digital and cyber security. And what they were finding was that a lot of care providers feeding back that this was actually a barrier to them being able to go ahead and publish their DSPT. So we've been working to consult with, it's focused specifically at small and medium-sized care providers because they find it more challenging. But we've been consulting to find out what exactly those barriers are and how we can help to overcome them. So if I can move my slide on. So we're looking to invite any of you, if you consider yourself to be small or medium-sized care provider, either care home or domiciliary care, whichever, to give us some feedback to help support the recommendations that we're looking to make back into NHSx with our report, which is due to go in on the 25th of March. So we've got about a week left where we can gather some more feedback from organisations like yourselves. So one of the recommendations that we're considering making is that it would be really useful for the social care sector to have a specific national resource that kind of meets this DSPT requirement for the staff to have this minimum level of security and protection training for data and cyber security. At the moment, as you've heard from Laura and other people, there are free resources available out there, but there isn't any one thing that meets all of the requirement. Specifically, a lot of people are unaware, but there is a requirement in order to meet that 3.2.1, that the staff that you're saying have been trained should have undertaken an assessment as part of that training and achieved an 80% pass mark. And a lot of the free resources available, although some of them are really good, some are on digital social care, skills for care, and other sites, they don't contain that assessment. So we're interested to know if you would support that recommendation or not, that a national resource may be hosted by a recognised sector expert such as Skills for Care would be something that would be useful, that you would support that recommendation. We're also looking to get feedback on a set of new learning outcomes for staff around specifically data and cybersecurity training for frontline care staff, which is more focused around the application of the legislation and about people understanding their personal responsibilities around data security and cybersecurity, rather than some of the training that's available at the moment, which is quite academic. It doesn't feel like it's pitched maybe at the right level. We've also identified that the training requirement within the DSPT, where the staff training has to be done by the 1st of July, a lot of care providers may be finding that to be quite a barrier. So we're interested to hear if you would support a recommendation that that requirement changes to be on a 12-month rolling basis rather than with a specific fixed date around it. And finally, we're developing a couple of tools to help social care providers to meet this requirement. So one is a multiple choice test or quiz for care staff, which you can set them. We've designed the test, so we're interested to get some feedback on that, on the style, the language, the size. Does it do what you would want to do? Does it cover your risk areas as a care provider? And the other tool that we're developing is a discussion guide for care managers to enable them to have these conversations with their staff, maybe in team meetings or in training sessions or one-to-one supervisions, which points them to the resources that are available and provides prompts for them to have discussions as well. So my request is, if anybody's interested in these topics and areas and they'd be interested to add their feedback to the evidence that we'll be submitting to NHSx, if you could get in touch with me and we could arrange how to get your feedback in the next week, please. So my contact details, I can put my email in the chat as well, if that's helpful. So thank you so much for letting me join your meeting.
Thank you, Sally. I think it works well in tandem with all what's been going on today. I mean, I think everything's been moving at a really rapid rate, and now the concept and thoughts of not just on the visitation, PPE, vaccination, and there seems to be a lot of other things that we have to look at. So it would be good if people can give feedback on that. And I know the likes of Paul and also Laura here, and maybe there's a conversation to be had as well.
Yeah, I think, and Sally, if you could get the slides, etc., over to me, then we'll circulate them in the next couple of days. So no problem. Great. Excellent. Any points for anybody before we go? And just to reiterate that we have got, the next meeting is the 13th of April with CQC, and then we have April the 27th with Fragaman, and details will be circulated. Obviously, they'll be on the website as well. And so if you've got questions for CQC and you don't want to ask them, then we can do that. We can pass them on anonymously, or you will have the opportunity to ask them at the event. But many thanks to you all for coming. Many thanks to the presenters. There's a huge amount of information and data there for you, and look forward to seeing you next time. Anything else from you, Dudley?
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. Just to remind you that we are constantly keeping you up to date. If you haven't signed up to the LCaS website, you can do and join that. Or we also have WhatsApp groups we have for different areas as well, and which we cover. So please, you can send us a message and we will update you. We have regular updates of forever changing things that are going on. And we also will be sharing a copy of this as well, a recording that you were able to access as well. So Thank you everyone for joining us, and have a great and wonderful rest of the week and month. As we know, we have all busy times. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much. And one last thing, Laura, could you just send me a link to that King's Fund research that you mentioned, please? Yes. That'd be great. Excellent. Many thanks. Thanks to all. Stay well and look forward to seeing you in the next meeting. Bye for now. Bye-bye. Bye.